I'm here with Andy Cook, who is one of our missionaries in Lisbon, Portugal.
I want to see the church win and win big. And so for years we did that in the United States in a little town called Panama, and it was great, and we would have stayed there for the rest of our lives. The fall of 2007, God shook all that up, and 15 months later, our family was here.
I was born in Madrid. It's a big city of more than 6 million people. I saw the tremendous need in my own country.
Okay.
And somehow inside of me, I told myself, you know, what can I do, oh God? Little by little, I began to just pastor young people.
Well, I grew up here in Italy, so I grew up in a church planting family. And when I was 19, I understood the privilege of knowing Christ in our type of culture, which is very far from what the gospel would teach. And through regular evangelism and evangelistic lifestyle, we are trying to reach the city for Christ.
I'm here with Andy Cook, who is one of our missionaries in Lisbon, Portugal. I'm here with Carlos Gomez, who is our missionary to Spain. So I'm here with Josh Whitman. Josh is our missionary to Italy, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how they do missions here. And we're just going to talk a little bit about being on mission. So we just want to kind of find out a little bit about your story. Tell me about your calling to mission work. Why do you do what you do?
For a lot of years, I've had a passion to see the church function as God intended, and to be what God wanted to be, and to win big. I don't know how competitive I am, but a little bit competitive. Which probably
I know how competitive you are.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. You know me better than the rest of the missionaries you'll get to interview. But yeah, so I want to see the church win and win big. And so for years we did that in the United States in a little town called Panama, and it was great, and we would have stayed there for the rest of our lives.
Right.
In the fall of 2007, God shook all that up.
Right.
And started with a little magazine article, and then it was just this idea that wouldn't die. And 15 months later, our family was here. So checking to see if that was what God had for us, and God convicted all 5 of us, and so we came.
All my life, I've been in this city of Madrid, and I came to know the Lord at the age of 17 through the testimony of my mother, because 2 men just gave a Bible to my mother, you know, and that changed her whole life.
Yeah. You were 17 years old?
Yeah, I was 17 years old.
Yeah. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, I felt God was calling me. It was a strange thing, because at the same time I saw the tremendous need in my own country.
Okay.
And somehow inside of me I told myself, you know, what can I do, oh God?
Right.
And somebody just pointed that I should study, first of all, for the ministry. So I went to England to study.
Yeah.
And that was a tremendous experience, because I didn't know a word in English.
Oh.
So once I was there, I thought they were going to throw me out, because they could not understand me, and I could not understand them. But out of pity, I think they said, you can stay. And it was hard, you know, because the first year I used to translate every note with a little flashlight under the covers, you know, because lights went off like 11 o'clock, and nobody could just turn lights on, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, after 1 year, I began to understand more and more, and I completed my studies there. So little by little, I began to just pastor young people, a group of young people, you know.
Okay.
And then I discovered what my gifts were, you know. I mean, it's nothing great about me. It's what God has given me, you know. And one of my gifts is church planting, evangelism, you know. And I didn't want to be a pastor of a church, because I discovered my gift. But in God's humor, Since I start a church. I have to pastor the church till I leave the church, which will take me like 7 to 8 years
Right.
to establish a church.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I grew up here in Italy, so I grew up in a church planting family. And when I was 19, I understood the privilege of knowing Christ in our type of culture, which is very far from what the gospel would teach.
Okay.
And so when I was 19, I understood that really God was calling me to stay here in the country where I grew up to plant churches. And so that's when I felt called to church planting and to the ministry.
Yeah, so you grew up here. You've been here pretty much ever since. You've been back in the States periodically for schooling?
I went to Bible college and seminary in Michigan, but pretty much I've always lived in Italy.
Tell us maybe an embarrassing story or when a time when things didn't go so well.
Yep.
Got any of those or?
Well,
pretty much none?
I'm sure there is always some. You know, I remember, for example, the day I baptized a lady.
Okay.
She was really, a big lady. And I was in the baptistry, you know, and
Yes.
in the church. And before her, it was 2 or 3 more that I baptized. And there she came, you know, and 2 ushers were there just to help the lady come down to the small pool, you know. And I
Okay.
told her what I was going to do, you know.
Yeah.
But she got so nerved the moment I was putting her into the water, you know, under the water.
Yeah.
She got so nerved that she turned around, you know, and she just fell on me. So I was under the water. I could not breathe. I thought I was going to die. And the 2 ushers just came into the pool, just grabbed the lady up so I could come out. That was a bad experience, you know. I mean, let me tell you.
There's a lady who said to me before we came, she said, Andy, whatever humbles you helps you. And there's nothing more humbling than language, fails or whatever. Portuguese, they shorten everything, right?
Okay.
So the type of coffee I like to drink, the cup I drink, is called a Meia de Leite.
Okay.
All right. So they shorten everything. So I walked into this cafe one day, the one I walked in, used a lot in the previous city. I walked in, and I just said, instead of Meia de Leite, I just like, can I have a Meia? Not realizing Meia is actually a different word. So this 60-some-year-old waitress comes around the counter, pulls up her pant leg and says, "You want my sock?" I'm like, no, no. So, sometimes it's funny, a lot of times it's not.
Riconoscete che il Signore è Dio, è Lui che ci ha fatti, e noi siamo suoi. Siamo suo popolo e gregge di cui egli ha
Once
curato.
on Sunday morning, in this hall, we were using the entryway because we were a smaller group. We had a couple of people from the United States. One of these was a baseball player, an ex-professional baseball player.
Really? Okay.
So he was a pitcher, really tall, famous baseball player, and they were here to help us. We started a little baseball kind of project or ministry.
Like a clinic.
Like a clinic, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we were getting ready for church to start, and so we all sat down, and as this really tall, big guy, big American, sat down, the chair folded, and he slammed the ground. So it was more embarrassing for him than for me.
Yeah.
But we all just looked at him like nobody got up to help him because we were so shocked, and he just sat there on the floor until finally he was able to get out of that chair.
We all know that missionaries are superheroes, right?
That's right.
They're like super Christians.
Wrong,
The
but thank you.
professional Christians. Can you think of your superpower? Do you
Yeah,
have a superpower there?
That was superpower. Dave, I actually have the ability to know which ones of our financial partners are giving and which ones are not.
Oh, that's your superpower.
Yeah, it's my superpower. Our mission agency sends me a list every month, and then I know,
Yeah.
right? No, superpower. Yeah. I'd like to have the power to be invisible several times, but no,
Yeah.
I don't have superpower.
What about spiritual gifts? I mean, You know, I mean, to some degree, our spiritual gifts are our superpower. I would think that most people, or a lot of people, would think, "Oh, you're a missionary. You're
Yeah.
planting a church. You have a heart for people coming to Christ. Got to have the gift of evangelism. You know,
Right.
if you're going to be a missionary and being on mission and sharing the love of Jesus, that's for people with the gift of evangelism, right? So that's
Right.
clearly your spiritual gift is evangelism, right?
Absolutely not.
Top one or two?
Our church used to joke that I have the anti-gift of evangelism. I just have to tell you this one quick story. When we were on a mission trip to the Bronx, they had various levels for people who had various gifts or whatever, and I got put down near the bottom as not having the gift of evangelism. And so they had this bus, and we were literally just driving down Broadway, and they gave me 3 Bibles, and they said, "Andy, just get off this bus, and the bus will go slowly down the road, and you just need to hand out these 3 Bibles. When your 3 Bibles are gone, you get back on the bus, get 3 Bibles, get back off at the next light." So I kid you not, I truly tried. I was trying to hand out Bibles. I walked 20 blocks through Manhattan and still had 3 Bibles.
There's just not enough people.
And there wasn't enough people. I couldn't find anybody. So the next day, they looked at me and they said, "You know, you're just not good at this." So they said, "We got a no-fail method, you know," because I had previously tried the survey thing, where you just go down and ask people, "Can I do a religious survey?" And I had this militant Muslim swearing at me and all this stuff, you know. So every day was a disaster. So we get the last day and they're like, "We got something that's like no fail. You can do this."
I know what it is. It's a Krispy Kreme box with donuts. You open it up, but there's really Bibles.
Yeah, close. Yeah, close. They said, "All you have to do, Andy, just pack 1 sack lunch, and we're going to drop you off in a park in the Bronx, and all you have to do is just hand your lunch to a homeless person. We will come back and get you in 2 hours."
Really? Okay.
So I packed my lunch. I'm like, I was so excited. I'm like, today's the day I'm going to have the gift of evangelism. They said, "You don't have to say anything. Just give away your lunch, right?" So I'm there and I'm walking around with my lunch and I'm praying even. I'm like, "God, help me to find the person who I give my lunch to." And you know, this is kind of acute to my spiritual gifts, because I see a girl with tarot cards and I'm praying for her and I'm praying for other people I see. And I see some homeless people and I kind of walk towards them and they walk away. So I hold the lunch out in front of me a little ways, and then they all leave. I kid you not, I prayed about this. 2 hours later, I still got my lunch.
Huh.
They sent a teenager into the park to come get me, and he came up to me and said, "Pastor Andy, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Trying to give away my lunch." "You were supposed to give away this lunch. You don't keep this. We have other lunches in the bus." I'm like, "I know, Justin. I've been trying to find somebody to give my lunch to." He said, "Give me that lunch." So I handed him the lunch. He took 5 steps. One of the guys I tried to give the lunch to walked up to this teenager and said, "Hey, is that a free lunch? I'd really like a lunch."
Nice.
So, no, I do not have the gift of evangelism as traditionally defined.
Okay.
Okay, traditionally defined as somebody who either has the ease in presenting the gospel, or who can present the gospel in a way that people go, "Oh, that's it, I get it. Yeah, and I need to," and they see the need for a decision.
Right.
I don't have that gift.
Yeah.
I think God's equipped me to, and partly, I don't know if there's a gift or not, but I grew up with, you know, our dad prays a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned the value of prayer. And so I spent a lot of time in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only part of my day when I'm absolutely confident that I got something accomplished. You know,
Yeah.
any other time you can do something, you don't know for sure if something will come from it. But when you pray, you know something will come. So I do that. I have that. I think to an extent I had the gift of leadership,
Mm-hmm.
of being able to align people and cast some vision. And so I try to use that gift here. And I think I had the gift of teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to use that here.
Yeah.
But I wish I had the gift of evangelism. But let me just flip side that too really quickly. That in-your-face kind of evangelism wouldn't work here anyways.
Right.
So maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
I am your missionary who does not have the gift of evangelism. So
My spiritual gifts will be like church planting.
Yep.
I know how to go to a city and turn the city upside down. That's my gift.
Yeah.
I know how to relate very well with my own people because I was born Roman Catholic, and
Okay.
not only that, but I was baptized in the Catholic Church. You know, I made my first communion and so on.
Yep.
So I can relate very well with my own people. I know what they think.
Yep.
And so on, you know. And another gift that I discovered was evangelism. I really love evangelism.
Yeah.
I'm a people's person. I like to speak to the people, you know. Like my grandson say, Grandpa, do you don't feel, we say in Spanish, don't you have vergüenza? Vergüenza means, are you embarrassed just to talk in a pulpit?
Okay.
And I say, no. Because I'm speaking about someone that I love with all my heart. It's like you, Marcos. I love you with all my heart, and I don't feel embarrassed just to talk about you. You know. So he was just saying, "Oh my goodness, I never thought about that."
Yeah.
But I told him my legs tremble when I go into the pulpit because that's a responsibility.
Yeah.
But I will never feel embarrassed about Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And my other gift maybe is leadership.
Leadership, yeah.
Because I try, you see, as soon as people are coming to know the Lord,
Yeah.
I'm looking for the gift of leadership because I
Okay.
will spend maybe 75% of my time just training them, giving them what I know. Everything I know, I'm going to put into them, you know. And so when I leave the church, you know, with 140, 150 people that they can support their own pastor, I put the leadership and just leave and start in another place. Because in Spain, we have more than 7,000 towns without any Christian witness. I mean, you can choose any town right now.
Right. Yeah. And you call those people Timothys, right?
Yes, yes, the people that come to know the Lord through our ministry, you know, and they are saved, and I train them and so on. They become my Timothys. They are people that I really love very much, and they love me too, and they always search for my advice or whatever, you know. They are my Timothys. So some of them, they are already working for the Lord, and through them we have started another 16 churches in the country of Spain.
16 churches?
16 churches.
Okay,
One of them was inaugurated in March this year.
Okay.
This year, yeah.
And you've been able to plant 7 churches.
7 churches in the
Right.
community of Madrid, ourselves, as a family.
Yeah.
Because we never had a team, you know, coming
Yeah.
from the States or from any other part.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent.
I've always, ever since I was a teenager, enjoyed being with non-believers and sharing my faith with non-believers.
Yep.
And so it's something that is very natural for me to do. Just live out my faith in a simple way and explain it to the people that are around me.
Yeah.
And so that would be one of my spiritual gifts, definitely.
Okay.
And then looking at our church and our situation, I think whether it's patience, it's fruit of the Spirit, but patience, and faith, knowing that God will be doing what He needs to do in our church, and He'll move along His church.
Yeah.
These are some of the things that would probably characterize me, and Sara too. She's very, very patient. I would say very wise. She looks to the future and sees things that we should be doing as a church. And a lot of times she's the one that helps me see things that we could be doing better.
Okay.
So she's
wisdom,
wisdom,
discernment
absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say drives your mission as far as why you do what you do?
I think it's just a tremendous need around me. So in a city like ours, we have just very few believers, people who have read through the scripture, who understand the gospel. And so just looking around everywhere, pretty much I look, there are people that don't know Christ. And so just keeping our eyes open and seeing the need out there just drives us to what we're doing.
You know, I think the thing that drives my mission is just the same thing that drives your mission or any other Christian's mission. It's just spending time with God. Just to be like mega honest with you, I do not wake up in the morning thinking, oh man, there are pagans out there. They're all going to hell. Let's go get them for Christ. I don't wake up that morning, and to be really, like I said, to be really honest about that. Satan kind of plays with that in my mind. A lot of times I think, I hear a word in my head a lot. It's the word fraud.
Okay. Yep.
That if people knew, if your supporters in the States knew that you just don't have this dying, unending passion for the lost, like that would be the end of your support immediately.
Right.
My passion for the lost and my passion for the church only comes after I spend time with God in the morning.
Okay.
And it takes a fair amount of time some mornings. But if you spend time with God, you end up with the heart of God.
Right.
And if you end up with the heart of God, you're going to end up with a heart for the church and for lost people.
Right.
And so the trick for me is to spend however long it takes with God till I get to that point where I can actually pray the Lord's Prayer with authenticity. And I can truly say, Father, I want your name to be revered everywhere. Father, I want your kingdom to come. I want your will to be done here on earth as completely and quickly as it is in heaven.
Right.
Father, I have to spend however long it takes. And for me, most days that takes about 2 hours. So I don't know what that says about me as a person, but it takes me a long time to get to that point. But then when you get to that point where you spend time with God, you get the heart of God. Yeah. And that's what drives me day after day and keeps me doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people can identify with that.
Yeah.
We are naturally self-centered and self-focused.
Right.
So for us to put our agendas on hold and to say, okay, it's not going to be about me today, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So I think we all need that driving force that says life is not about you and other people's eternity is a big deal. And so you need to invest in that rather than just in what you wanted to do today.
Yeah. I think for in a lot of ways, my calling into this was less about passion and more about surrender.
Yeah.